Hey, what's up guys? Today we're gonna talk about how to refine POIs or how I refine POIs. Again, this is up to personal preference. Doesn't mean this is how I refine POI. There is no other way how to refine POIs. Again, remember, what works for me might not work for you. So currently we're on Euro USD. As you can see, we are overall in a downtrend. And we are expecting either price to do a pullback and continue to the downside since we're overall in a downtrend. So we are either expecting go up to these supply zones, fill up these imbalances, or just stop at these supply zones over here, then continue to the downside. Either way, I could be wrong in here. I could be wrong in here. Price could shoot up higher. Again, this is why we risk manage. And this is why we are flexible with our bias. Doesn't mean we're overall in a downtrend. We can't look for buys. Again, this is just the daily time frame. There are more lower time frames. So daily, what I do then is get the fib tool from the high to low. We look for a place where price can do a healthy pullback. Again, I keep saying this, that I want price to do a healthy pullback to the 50%. Or I want price to tap the 50% to be considered as a healthy pullback. Again, this is not a mandatory thing. Price can literally stop from this point and continue to the downside. Or price can go to the 78%, then continue to the downside. This is just a warning, or gives me caution or confluence in my trades. For example, what I mean by confluence, 50%. This 50% is lining up with this certain supply zone over here. So you can mark up that last up move before the down move. Same one here, 78% last up move before the down move. Now we can mark those up, keep those marked up for the near future, or for the near future when price eventually, hopefully, goes up there and reacts from that point, then goes lower. But again, we're in the daily time frame. This could literally take 2 months or a month for price to tap these zones. Since this is the daily time frame where it could take a few months to happen, what we can do as day traders is look for entries on lower time frames. Now, for example, since we're currently here, if we just measure this swing high here to this swing low here, look at the 50% of this retracement. It's lining up with this certain POI over here. And again, this POI is technically mitigated. But what I do is keep it marked up, because we can go on lower time frames and look for more refined POIs or supply zones over here that is within this blue zone here. So for example, a refined one over here, refined one over here. So what we can do, so this is how I refine my POIs. So let's start from the daily. So technically, it's not wrong to look for shorts here. We could look for shorts, either bring it here or TP here, or just this swing low here, because we might see price to do retracement, mitigate this demand zone over here, then continue to the upside, because that is structure. Structure needs to pull back at some point. On other higher time frames, this could look like one single leg to the upside. Unlike the daily time frame, it did a pullback like that. On other time frames, it's just a single leg, which at some point it needs to do a pullback. So again, we mark that up. Also, we see a last up move before the down move here. This is also still not wrong, because if we look, that is lining up with the 78% of the fib. And again, you have to be careful, because sometimes you get blinded, because what I see people do is go on the way lower time frames and mark up multiple POIs. That's not how you do them. The way to do them, personally, what I think is go on the higher time frames. As you can see, we still have 3 POIs. Now, what I do to refine that POIs is go on lower time frames and look for supply zones within this blue areas of them. Because again, there is 3 Currently, we have 3 supply zones marked up. And again, it's up to you if you take this trade blindly, like automatically put a sell limit here, or you wait for confirmation in regards to Wyckoff. So if this doesn't give confirmation on this point, then it could be wanting to push up here. If it doesn't give confirmation here, then it could push up here. And same thing again, if it doesn't push up here, or if it does, then it probably wants to go to the downside. Again, if you get loose, if it makes a confirmation but stops you out because it fakes out confirmation that continues to the upside, again, there's nothing wrong in that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. All that matters is that in the long run you make money. So again, we then go on lower time frames. What I do daily to the 4-hour. Now we look for more refined zones within that blue zones. So for example, we have this certain POI over here, or supply zone, that we can mark up. As you can see, it is within the larger blue zone, and we look for unmitigated ones. This one, unmitigated. Also, this one, technically this one got mitigated, but for sure if you look on lower time frames, there is a unmitigated one. So let's just keep that marked up so we can be aware of it. Let's do the replay tool. Now we can go on more lower time frames again. So to the 1-hour, either you can make this your general point, or you can refine it even more over here, the last up move before the down move. Again, the more you refine, the better RR, but the less probability for price to hit your point of interest. Same one here, unmitigated one followed by imbalance, beautiful. And another one here, as you can see, we can remember this was a mitigated one, right? So if we look for unmitigated ones, we can see one over here. This one technically got mitigated, but if we look on lower time frames, it's gonna look like somewhere here since there's a wick. Now we can go to the 30-minute. 30-minute, as you can see, we have a more refined zone over here. Technically, this one still got mitigated. Sometimes what people do is have their overall, the larger time frame POI looking like this, and the refined zone looking like this. There's nothing wrong, but remember, since the surface area of your refined zone is so tiny, the chances of it holding is lower. But again, it's like a risk to reward thing. If you choose this zone, if you wait for this zone, there's a high chance for price to not tap it. Like price might go here, then not tap it, continue to upside, or price could tap it and stop you out since it's a very small zone. But the reward is super huge since that is a super small zone with tight, maybe a very tight stop loss. That could give you a really high risk to reward ratio. So it really depends on what type of trader you are, or what type of risk to reward you want. So currently, for my personal preference, I would balance things out to have this as my very refined zones. Then I can delete the larger one, because I know that the larger one is within this, the larger POI is within this more refined POI. Again, you have to balance things out. You need to know where things should go. As you can see, this one got tapped, got mitigated, but now is reacting to it because price doesn't need to hold a certain POI. Price can tap the POI, same thing with this one, go past it, grabbing some liquidity at the left side, then continue to the downside. That could happen. It happens. But again, it's the reaction that matters, or how you manage your trades, or how you enter and exit. Now for me, what I see on the story of it is this didn't hold, but price mitigated it. Meaning this could possibly a pullback zone. What I mean by a pullback zone, price reacting to that. Now price will do a pullback and come mitigate some demand zones here, then continue to the upside, mitigating more refined POIs over here or unmitigated supply zones over there. So this is how I personally refine POIs. It's the same story here. We just look for refined zone here, something like that, something like this, something like that, unmitigated zone. And it's the same thing on lower time frames. For example, you start with the larger zone like the 15-minute, then you refine it in the 1 minute. So I hope you guys learned something new, and thanks for watching.